In just 2.25 years, I learned 25,497 words across 8 languages. But what if I told you that learning the words wasn't even the most surprising part? Along the way, I uncovered some amazing lessons that changed not only the way I approached languages, but the way I approached life. So stay tuned. I'm going to go over the top 5 lessons that I learned from learning this many words. You don't want to miss number 4. Let's dive right in. Lesson 1, consistency over intensity. Have you ever tried to learn a large number of words and put in lots and lots of time only to come back the next day and forget all of them? I've been there. When I tried to learn languages, I would try to learn many words in many hours in a day. But I found that I burnt out and then I couldn't remember any of them. So what I decided to do was I decided to learn just a little bit each and every day. Even if that just meant learning words for only 5 minutes, as long as I did a little bit of study time that day and I continued to do that day after day after day after day, I found that I began to progress and I didn't forget them over time. So if you want to reach a mountain of a high number of words like I did with 25,497 words, I recommend that you do it a little bit each and every day and don't try to just force yourself to do a lot in one study period. Lesson 2, contextual learning over rote memorization. If you can believe it, I used to make paper note cards for foreign language vocabulary. So I would have one word on one side and the translation on the other side. Now, I was able to learn quite a few words this way, but I found that when I went to speak or use the words, they just didn't come to me, they didn't click. And so even though I was able to remember the words when I looked at my flashcards, I couldn't actually use them in real life. And for this, I decided to use Link and later Migaku, which makes flashcards that are contextual based. So it has the story or the sentence that the word appeared in on the flashcard itself. And this helps me to use the words in a context-based environment so that I could remember them and also be able to use them myself when I went to use the words. So if you are learning through rote memorization, word to word, I highly recommend you start looking at the context of the words as well. And this is going to aid you because then you'll remember the story that it appeared in, you remember similar words, you remember the words that are around the word you're trying to remember. All of this helps you to remember the words and helps you to be able to use them actively and not just passively when you look at your flashcards. Lesson 3. Active usage solidifies memory. Now, I used to learn many words and I was unable to use them in a foreign language conversation. The goal that I wanted was to be able to speak effortlessly, as if I weren't even speaking a foreign language, as if I were speaking English as I am now. That sounds great, but it was hard to do that when I was just studying flashcards. So I found that besides passively consuming my flashcards, I needed to have an active component as well. And so what I did was I signed up for an AI conversation tutor, which I will link in the description below. And this allowed me to be able to practice speaking. It gave me feedback immediately on any errors I made in my speech, and then it allowed me to continue the conversation so that I could keep speaking. I did this especially for German because I had learned 3 German books, the Erste Meal manuals, but I couldn't speak very well. I couldn't use the vocabulary I had learned. So by speaking just 15 minutes each and every day with the AI tutor, I was able to practice speaking, learn new words and vocabulary through my conversations, as well as just get used to having a back and forth with something. Even if it wasn't a real person, the AI allowed me to correct my speech immediately and improve. So now I'm able to speak German with a better pace, and I'm able to use the words that I spent so much time learning. Lesson 4. Embracing mistakes as learning opportunities. Nobody likes to make mistakes. I don't like to make mistakes. You probably don't like to make mistakes. But learning a foreign language is a skill that requires us to make a lot of mistakes. So when you make a mistake, you shouldn't feel badly about it because this is actually an opportunity to see what you need to focus on to improve. Every time you mess up a grammatical structure or use an incorrect word or even forget the word, this is an opportunity to see that that's what you need to work on in order to get your language skills higher. So my advice to you is don't get upset. Don't let it affect you emotionally when you make a mistake. Instead, you should be happy, or at least you should be able to accept that you made the mistake, because the more mistakes you make, the faster and easier it is to get to a place where you don't make a mistake, where you've achieved mastery, where you're able to use the language without error. So be happy when you make a mistake, because this is an opportunity, a chance for you to be able to learn better, learn more, and be able to reach mastery in your foreign language. Lesson 5, connecting with culture enhances language learning. So when we learn a language, sometimes we tend to take it apart from the culture. We want to study words, we want to study grammar, but actually the language is interconnected with society, and we are social beings. So if we can make a bond with the culture and be able to engage with it, it will actually aid us in learning the language. You can do this through many ways. It could be through reading the literature, watching movies, watching television shows. My personal favorite way is to make a connection with the real life human being. Right now, for my Chinese language partners, I have 2 that I meet with each and every week for about an hour, and we just have a conversation where I get to know them, I get to know their perspective on life, I get to understand Chinese culture, and I get to improve my language abilities in Mandarin. So this is a great way for you to be able to improve your language, make a connection with a real person or the culture, and that will help give you feedback to invest you further into the language, improving your skills. If you don't engage with the culture, then the language might just seem lifeless, and this will prevent you from achieving mastery. So there you have it, the 5 lessons that I learned from learning 25,497 words across 8 languages. And as I said in the beginning, the most surprising part was it changed my approach to life. Not just language learning, but the way that I actively engage in my life. For example, connecting with others and being able to live the language instead of just study it. So I hope this helped you. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because I'll be putting out more content to help you learn faster and learn better. And I hope this helped you a lot. Thank you so much.